Hey, you dorks, this is Gunnar Hansen, Leatherface from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and you are listening to The Dorkening.
Hi, I'm Brian Johnson, and although you probably accidentally stumbled across it and have no idea why you're watching it, you are in fact watching The Dorkening.
Hello, this is Tom Kenny, voice actor, the voice of the Ice King on Adventure Time, and SpongeBob SquarePants. Ah, meow. Oh, Gary the Snail, too. Hey, guess what you're filling your eye holes and ear holes with? The Dorkening! Oh, I love the Dorkening. Very popular in Ooh. And Bikini Bottom.
Hi, I'm Lou Ferrigno. You're watching The Dorkening. And you know what? You don't like me when I get angry, so don't get me angry. You better keep watching The Dorkening.
Hey guys, this is Felissa Rose, and you're watching The Dorkening.
Hey guys, it's Courtney Palm. We're shooting Death House, and you're watching The Dorkening.
This is Anthony Michael Hall, and you're watching The Dorkening. Stay tuned. My friend's going to show you what entertainment's all about, baby.
The Dorkening.
The Dorkening and all affiliated shows are not intended for anyone under the age of 18. The following may contain discussions or scenes that have adult situations, graphic violence, nudity, strong sexual content, and graphic language. This show is intended for mature audiences only. Viewer discretion is advised.
Rise and shine, my sinners. When Father Evil starts his day, he gets a little deadly. Deadly Grounds coffee has the richest, smoothest flavor you'll find anywhere. It's sinfully delicious. Once you go deadly, you never go back. Order yours at getdeadly.com. Coffee's so good, it's scary.
Happy Monday, everybody. This is Indie Creator Spotlight. Creator Spotlight powered by the Dorkening Podcast Network. We have an awesome show for you today. And as always, Patsy, how's it going, my friend?
Well, it would be better if I had a better camera set up. Like, this is weird. I'm definitely at a funny angle. Phil thought I rearranged the studio again because of how I look. I got to say, Leo, that intro has more like fake out endings than the Lord of the Rings.
That's true.
Yeah, I know. A lot of people mention, the long intro and everything, but that gives us a chance to share everything. There's a ton of stuff that has to be done in the back here. And rearranging, I did rearrange my end, though. What do you think?
I did. I see your ad.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were saying you were rearranging the studio and moving things around, and
yeah,
looks nice. I like it.
Yeah, it's well, it was more production side on the other side. This is just nifty stuff. Philip, how's it going, my friend?
Hey, how's it going, Leo? It's good to be here. Besides talking about horror movies and Taylor Swift, tonight's topic is the number one topic I like talking about more than anything else, and this is going to be good.
Awesome. Well, speaking of that, Patsy, would you like to introduce our awesome guest?
Absolutely. I met this young lady a short time ago, but we have become good friends since then, and I feel like I have known her for decades at this point. She's super awesome lady. She is currently raising funds and raffling off some amazing prizes. She is Miss Cailee Holmes. Cailee, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Hey, thank you for having me on. Anything for you, buddy. You know that.
I appreciate that. So yeah, we met in a couple of different sports memorabilia groups and the Joe's House of Horror. Like, we had a bunch of cross-pollination, and I was like, oh, this lady seems to have a lot of the same interests. I'm going to shoot her a friend request. And then you started Cails From The Crypt, Tell folks a little bit about that, because there's some awesome stuff going on over there.
Oh man, we just got some good stuff in today too. So Cails from the Crypt, we started to help fund our restaurant that we're planning on opening here in Salem, Mass, a horror themed restaurant called The Crypt. And basically what we do on there is we raffle off horror collectibles, memorabilia, murderabilia, serial killer stuff. So not only are you guys helping us, but we get to help the horror community in return by building some collections.
Yeah, and I won probably the thing that, if anybody in the group was going to get it, I'm really glad it was me.
Was that Jaws blood?
Yes, blood from Quint's death scene. Oh,
no way.
Yeah. Yeah, there's
It's
some
so
great
cool.
stuff. What else did I win for you? I've won the Jack and Sally figures. I got the Nick Castle signed poster with the 18-inch Michael Myers figure.
You've had a good bunch of wins.
Yeah. And the H.H. Holmes house dirt.
Yeah, that one's cool too.
Oh, I was really gunning for the Tate LaBianca fireplace from the other night.
I honestly, that was one of those pieces that you pick up and you just get like electricity up your arm. That I was like, oh man, I can't believe I'm holding this in my hand right now. So congrats. I forget who won that one, but it's a nice piece.
I have to interject here. The H.H. Holmes, people don't know, he's a serial killer from a long time ago that lived in Chicago, but he was born and raised in New Hampshire. Is the dirt from the New Hampshire house where he lived, or out in Chicago?
No, this was dirt from the location of the murder castle in Chicago. We have a person who does a lot of work in relics and props and things like that. He's awesome, and he manages to find like the most incredible stuff. Like right now, we have dirt from Gacy's crawl space, like, of all things. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of like really good stuff, and it's not all like murder dirt and stuff like that. There's Ari Lehman signed Jason Voorhees jerseys, and a lot of signed stuff. Like a couple of Chris Sarandon pieces. Like I have the Fright Night piece, I think.
Yep, you did. You won that one.
And there was another one that you just did that was I can't think of but yeah, there's tons of stuff, Richard Dreyfuss autograph stuff, like and it's great, and it's $3 to $10 per spot to get in on these games, and it's fair every time you do it live, so it's similar to how I run my sports memorabilia.
Yeah, very similar.
But what you do is you're using it for raising funds for your restaurant, and we got a chance, Ashes and I got a chance to hang out with you and your lovely lady friend, Anna Maria, a few weeks ago, and hopefully again in the near future.
Oh, definitely.
But and the reason we were doing that, because we had to exchange some prizes, because you had won a Doug Flutie helmet from me. And tell the folks what happened with that Doug Flutie helmet recently, because I want people to know exactly the type of person that you are.
Sure. So what we did with that Flutie helmet is there's a group on Facebook. It's called North Shore Dining. Basically promotes the restaurants up and down the North Shore, kind of like a suggestion page or review page. And he was raising money for the Doug Flutie Jr. Foundation for Autism. And they were kind of doing gift cards and a couple things. So I said, hey, you know what? I have this Doug Flutie signed helmet. Why don't I give it to you to raffle off, and you can send all that money to the foundation. And I believe he raised about $325 off of it. So that was awesome. It's just a feel good kind of thing.
And who ended up winning that helmet?
You did, my friend. It just went full circle and you won it.
So I'm gonna make sure he gets it back to you, because I want you to have it, because you, even though you're trying to raise funds for your own thing, you recognize that there are folks who have bigger issues out there, and it was very nice of you to do that. And I want folks to help contribute to your cause, whether it's through your GoFundMe or through playing in some of the games. And I highly recommend playing in some of the games, because it is so much fun.
It is. We have so much fun with them. We got some great stuff, and today we're actually, as soon as this interview is over, we have a really nice Texas Chainsaw Massacre piece going up. So keep your eye out for that.
I'm excited for that.
Yeah, you're gonna want to get in on that one.
And one of the things that's nice is Cailee also does a lot of cross promotion for other people. One of the things that you did was you raffled off my book, which was pretty awesome. I really appreciate that.
And the person who won loved it too. And he's messaged me and said, I'm not a big reader, but this is awesome. So which is even better, because then I know he's going to go tell his friends about your book, and hopefully we get you some book sales, which is even better.
Would be nice. So tell us a little bit about your restaurant and some of the dishes that you have prepared, because there's a specific one that I think is just, because anybody who knows me knows that I love wordplay and puns and things like that. And I think my favorite is the pressed sandwich, the Giles Corey.
Yeah.
And for folks who are, if you don't know who Giles Corey is, and why that's, I don't want to say funny, but
it's
like
kind of funny.
why it's clever. Do yourself a favor and look up Giles Corey. Well, so yeah, tell us a little bit about some of the stuff and how you came up with these items.
Sure thing. I mean, I came up with the idea about 8 years ago, just a way to fuse my two passions, which was cooking and horror. And I'm also a big pun person and a big dad joke person. Like, I think the dumbest stuff is absolutely hilarious. So a good pun has me every time. So we started off very basic. Our basic classic American burger is an American werewolf in a bun. And I know one of the ones you really like is the Edgar Allan Po' Boy.
Yes.
Which is Maryland crab cake po' boy sandwich. So everything that we have on the menu is either named after a horror character or location, and a couple of famous Salem figures as well. So everything kind of works together. Like our Hellraiser burger is hot as hell. It's got buffalo sauce, ghost pepper cheese, fried jalapenos. We have the Giles Corey, who was pressed to death during the Salem witch trials, which isn't funny in retrospect, but our sandwich is a flat pressed patty melt named the Giles Corey as sort of an homage to him. We wanted to play Salem into it too. It's a community that we love. That's why we want to do it here. Not only is it a mecca for horror fans, but we love it. We're big Halloween fans, so that's why we live here. So we wanted to give a nice little nod to Salem's history in our menu as well.
Yeah, and I love the fact that you guys are, not just catering to for lack of a better term, carnivores. Like you guys are also doing like
Right.
your gluten-free, your vegan stuff. I like that. I mean, it makes sense as a business model too. I think one of my favorite things is also the quint sandwich, which is it Narragansett beer battered
Of
fish?
course. Narragansett beer battered fish. It had to be Gansett. One of my favorite promotions that Gansett ever put out was this big poster of Quint, and it said, "Honor the man and crush the can." So every time at that bar you drank a Gansett, you had to crush the can and throw it down like Quint did. And it honestly turned out, it's one of those things like in your head you think it's a good idea, but then when we made it, I was like, oh, Narragansett is the perfect beer for beer battered fried fish. It worked perfectly.
That's awesome. I just want to break in here for a second. If you are interested in the GoFundMe, which is going on right now, we have links in the show notes down below or up above, depending on where you're watching or listening to us. Now, how many more days do you have on the GoFundMe?
The GoFundMe is actually great. So what GoFundMe did, which we found out after a friend of ours started the GoFundMe for us, it was something I was really weary about. I was like, I don't want people to think we're like begging for money, especially during this COVID time where restaurants are being hit so hard. But a friend of ours made it for us. And what GoFundMe has done is they actually got rid of the time cap. So you can keep now things up for as long as you'd like. And you can also stop them if you don't reach your goal. You actually get what's in there now. As to before, I know you had a time spot. If you didn't really reach your goal, I thought they just kind of ended it. So it's actually great. So we're going to leave that up as long as we possibly can. And we're going to keep doing these raffles as long as we can as well.
Very cool. Philip, we can't hear you.
Oh, there we go. I'm sorry about that. Cailee, have you been a chef for how long, and have you worked at any other establishments before deciding to go into business yourself?
Oh, yeah. I've been doing this since I was 13 when my parents said, you better go find a job. And at first it was just a job, and it took years, honestly, and to get to the point that I was like, oh, I actually love this. I'm really passionate about this. I worked for a very reputable, I don't want to name drop, but a celebrity-run burger place. So I think, for years I've traveled around opening restaurants with them and teaching their recipes to other people. And it's kind of then when you realized how many restaurants don't cook burgers the right way. So that's a big passion project of mine, is good burgers. So we want to make sure you can go to Salem and know you come to the Crypt and you can get a good quality and cooked the way you want it burger. So I've been doing it for about 18 years, doing everything basically you can do in the restaurant industry other than own a place. So it's time.
I do love a tasty burger.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Me and you both.
Being from Connecticut, I have to ask, how are you cooking the burgers?
The burgers are going on a flat top grill. So I like the char, but I find a lot of places that use a char regular grill is that you taste more of the propane or the char than you do the actual meat. And so we found that cooking on a flat top, you can taste the actual meat flavor, or actually really anything. It maintains its integrity on the flat top.
I was only asking because we have steamed burgers down here, which is
I do know that.
That's good too. Those are good. Yeah.
Steamed hams.
Yeah.
So, coming up with the name The Crypt, what prompted that? Like, where did that name come from? And
it's actually funny. So my name, Cailee, one of my nicknames growing up was Cails. So I always kind of said I was Cails from the Crypt because I always called my bedroom the Crypt because I kept it so dark that my mom always joked that it's where the dead went to go sleep. So that's kind of where that came up with. And I liked the idea of I'm Cails from the Crypt. And we're going to actually have the place called The Crypt. So that kind of another, little wordplay, little pun that we like to sneak in there.
It's always good. There's nothing wrong with that. Now, with all these different restaurants that are in Salem, how do you plan to really stand out and make yourself unique?
That's actually a great question. Salem we have a wonderful restaurant scene, and it just keeps getting better. So one of the things we wanted to do to stand out, because there used to be a horror restaurant in town many years ago, and a lot of people told us it was cool and they liked hanging out there, but the food wasn't that great. So what we have actually put into place that we're finalizing this week is this summer we're going to be doing a lot of pop-ups around Salem to get the food out so that people understand this isn't just a place you go to for the experience of the horror theme. It's actually a place where you can go and get quality food. So we're hoping that mixed with the allure of the decor and the idea brings people through the door, and that the food makes people keep coming back.
Which obviously makes sense because I've been to a couple of restaurants.
Plan to have,
Go ahead, Phil. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was going to ask. Being the Crypt, are you going to have memorabilia all over your restaurant? As PJ mentioned, horror themed type things. You're into it and all that. So I assume that you're gonna have all that stuff, right? It's going to be not just the great food, but also the atmosphere.
Absolutely. We wanted to keep the memorabilia down a little more. One of the things we said going into it was we don't want to be Planet Hollywood. We don't want to be the Hard Rock. It's definitely going to be a very gothic, dark place. You walk in and you're like, oh, I kind of feel like maybe I'm in a cemetery. We'll definitely have some memorabilia around, but we wanted to make sure that we don't overdo it. That was one of my big things going into it.
Yeah, you don't want it to be like TGI Fridays with all the crazy shit all over the walls.
Exactly.
And that distracts you. So you've posted the menu a couple of times, and honestly, there's nothing on there that does not look good to me, except maybe the Hellraiser, because when it comes to spice, I can do flour and milk. That's about my limit. No, and Tabasco, buffalo sauce, that's about it for me. The Hellraiser might be a little much, but looking at some of the stuff, and obviously this is the point. You're gonna want to go back over and over and over. Even the kids menu. Oh,
Even the kids menu is pretty good. That was part of the reason. Like when you go a lot of times to burger places, they have maybe a couple, but it's all basically the same stuff. You just add like cheeseburger, and the next one's bacon cheeseburger, and the only difference is you added bacon. We didn't want to do any of that, so like I said, so we have our classic burger, but then we have something like our Herman Munster burger that has Munster cheese and fried onions and like a tomato compote on it. Things that are a little different, but still things that it's like not an over the top burger. When you get there's those places that do the burgers that are like this tall with everything under the sun. We didn't want to do that. We wanted to make sure it was still stuff that you could individually taste the elements and still know that you're eating a great burger.
Yeah, because they're looking at your menu and looking at something like, oh, why should I go there when I can just go to like Red Robin and I can get all this same stuff? It's like, well, you don't like you just said, like tomato compote. Like you're not going to find that at like a burger chain.
Yeah, definitely not.
And you've posted some pictures of some of the stuff, because you guys have done a couple of like practice runs on this, and obviously taken photos and posted them to the group, and it's just like, like I can't wait until you're open, or like when there's pop-ups, obviously you're gonna have to let us know, so like we can post all about it and then get there.
And that's been really great too, is just seeing the reaction from just the photos of people like, oh yeah, sign me up, I want 6 of these, or I'm going to come every day for one of these, without even tasting it. Because I mean, something you learn as a chef is people eat with their eyes first.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to make sure you don't want to eat something that looks like cat food, because in your mind it's cat food. So that was one of the things I said. I was like, when we do these pictures, I want to make sure that you can see every single ingredient that's on there, so you know exactly what you're getting. There's no surprises.
Yeah, it's almost like I was gonna say, it's almost like the pictures that you see, on like real commercials of like, oh, come down to whatever burger place and like, here's what it'll look like. It's never looked like that.
It never looks like that. Yeah, exactly.
But at your place, it will.
Yes, definitely. We take a lot of care and pride into what we do. I'm one of those people, if it doesn't look the way I want it to look, it's not going out. I'd rather make it again. And it's just, growing up in a different age of chefs, I hate to like throw out the card of like being a female chef, but you genuinely bust your ass a lot more to get the respect that you seek, because of that aspect. It's still a very male driven field. So, I mean, 3 out of the 4 business partners we have going to the crypt are female, which is, for me, that's a big deal. And that's a big step for a direction for restaurants to go in as well.
I know Phil was going to say something, but just real quick on the advertisements you see for food, you never want to eat that because a lot of times it's not edible.
Yeah, exactly. Foam.
Yeah.
Foam and glycerin.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot what they said they used for tomato soup, but it was utterly disgusting. But a lot of times it's fake stuff. But what were you going to say, Phil?
I was going to ask, you've mentioned handheld foods, handhelds, but do you have entrees as well, or are you mostly pub fare, or I noticed that you're going to have a full bar as well. So what type of other foods besides handhelds?
So we're kind of calling it like upscale fast casual, where it's mostly going to be burgers and sandwiches, but kicked up a little more than your typical kind of burger place. We do have some apps that are different as well. Like we'd have the Boards of Salem, which is a charcuterie board of more high-end stuff. Today we actually perfected, I'm pretty sure, hopefully, one of our apps, which is called From Dusk Till Prawn. And it is, it's a beer battered shrimp tacos. So we have like a little, luckily many years ago, I was a sous chef at a place that did worldwide cuisine. So I learned an indescribable amount about flavors from all over the world. So I wanted to keep it simple, but be able to bring in those kind of aspects as well.
That makes a lot of sense.
Now, are you a bartender as well, or would you have someone else be making the drinks?
Oh, no, you don't want me to. You actually probably do want me to bartend because I'm very heavy-handed. But no, one of my business partners, she's a really great at crafting cocktails. So I've come up with a couple of them, and the cocktails are going to be awesome. I mean, I wish I could name drop them all, but we haven't finished naming them all yet. But we do have stuff that's going to be in vials and in IV bags. That's another big one we're going to do. So they're going to be very cool.
Just have one that's just like, 100% moonshine. Call it the D-animator.
This is a shameless plug, but you know what would tie it all together? If they get their own brew of Deadly Grounds.
Oh, yeah.
We've been thinking about something along those lines. Yeah, there's a place in town called Popped that does all sorts of flavors of popcorn, and we're planning on talking to them to do like our own crypt concoction that we can carry that they can't get anywhere else.
That'd be awesome.
Deadly Grounds is located in Connecticut. It's another mom and pop shop, but they do custom roasts of coffee, and they'll do like the labeling for you as well too.
I've had it. They're actually, I'm not a big coffee person, but I'll drink Deadly Grounds. I love the names of all their stuff. Like the one, did they just put out the one that's like Army of Dark Chocolateness or something like that?
That's a different company.
That's a different one. But yeah, Deadly Grounds, I think I've had at Rock and Shock back in the day. We always stop by their booth and grab a bag of coffee.
Yeah, they're our sponsor, so that's why we're always pushing them. I've got about 12 bags in my cabinet, so yeah, I'm a fan.
Yeah.
So, like, are there any? I'm trying to think of like how I can phrase this without having you give anything away. Like, are there any like, bits of ambiance that you plan to put in your place where the aesthetic is going to be, I know, like you said, it's going to be, similar to like a graveyard or, definitely very Gothic. Is there anything that might, I don't want to say scare off, but deter the casual dining enthusiast? Or are you looking just for the horror fan?
So no, that was actually another big thing I went into is we want people who aren't necessarily horror fans to come in, and we want to attract not just tourists, but our locals. We have a great local restaurant scene, and we definitely are going to have some stuff that maybe not for everybody, but just by walking in, I'm hoping it doesn't deter too many people away. But I mean, there's always the occasional Karen, so you never know, right?
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine too many like uptight conservative Christians walking around going into a place called the Crypt and go, "Oh, I never."
Oh, well, honestly, we don't have many of those coming into Salem anyway. If you've been to Salem, it's definitely not a very conservative Christian town.
Yeah,
quite the opposite.
Yeah, not very often. Yeah,
we do love our Christian listeners of the podcast, so
yes, of course.
don't be deterred.
No. I'm just saying, like, it might not be, like Cailee said, it's not everybody's cup of tea, and that's why they make chocolate and vanilla.
No, but being in Salem, having Halloween themes everywhere, I assume most people, whether conservative or progressive or any phase of whatever, are not going to be too scared off by your restaurant, because again, that's why a lot of people come to Salem to see all that Halloween stuff.
Right.
Yeah, and right. I mean, besides the nautical museum and all that good stuff too, they come for the Halloween stuff and anything titled the Crypt that's going to attract people, I would think.
Absolutely.
No, I just mean like there's not going to be like mangled corpses hanging from the walls and things like that.
We'll keep them in the walk-in. We won't let them out in the dining area.
Yeah.
You got to keep them in the freezer.
Yeah.
All the Halloween stuff in Salem is still kid friendly, so no one's going to be that crazy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Now,
I mean that's the best fan is the kid. The kids love.
The kids are great. The kids are great that come into Salem. It's actually one of my favorite things when we go out, like people watching around tourist times, is seeing the kids all dressed up and how excited they get because they love Halloween, and it's still like magical to them, which is what I love.
Now, I've never been to Salem. Are there many stores that are horror themed that are open year round, or is it a lot of shops that just pop up during the fall season?
A lot of what you think of Salem is here all year round. There's a great place in town. It's a horror movie monster museum. They're not open all year, but most of the year. If you're coming up to Salem as any sort of fan of even just old movies or just Hollywood in general, it's the can't miss place. But witch shops are open all year round. There's a store called Vamp Fangs open all year round. It's really become kind of that mecca for people who love horror and who love Halloween every year. I mean, the numbers go up. Even last October, the mayor's on TV telling people to stay home because of COVID, and we still had by the hundreds of thousands of people coming in just because they wanted to be here. They wanted to spend Halloween here.
Yeah, my first time in Salem was mid-October, and I was like, well, that was awful.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is.
When we went a few weeks ago, I was like, this is way better. I think my favorite thing about going into Salem a couple of years ago in October was the fact that there was a guy walking around who looked almost exactly like David Ortiz. And everyone's like, oh my God, it's David Ortiz. And Ash goes, do you think that's David Ortiz? I'm like, pretty sure David Ortiz isn't going to walk around Salem wearing a David Ortiz jersey. Just throwing that out there. But like, people were coming up to him, asking him for pictures, and he's like, yeah, sure, I'm David Ortiz. Like, he doesn't even have an accent. But no, yeah, there's so much to do in Salem, and like there's a it's definitely a good place to have a horror themed restaurant if you're going to have it anywhere. I mean, like, there are few other places I can think of that have the synonymous nature with horror than Salem. Maybe all of Florida, I don't know. No, it's such a good idea.
We love Florida. We love our Florida.
Thank you, Phil.
No, I'm just talking about the crazy folks who feed meth to the alligators.
Or use alligators as weapons. That was one I read about today.
Oh yeah, like there was somebody posted a thing the other day. It was like please do not feed meth to the alligators. It's like, wait, what? Those are the people you want to avoid.
I just want to say, just want to say, we have Florida Man as a meme for a reason, because they're in abundance down there in Florida. It's just, yeah.
No, I've been to Florida a couple times, and I had a pleasant experience both times. It's just sometimes you read about stuff, and it's like guy robs a store with an alligator. It's like, wait, what?
In Florida?
Yeah,
always.
Yeah, it's true.
But yeah, like, and having this restaurant where it's like, and like Phil was asking, like, you don't have these big heavy entrees. You have, like you said, the upscale, like burgers and sandwiches and stuff. So it's a place where folks can stop off, like, oh, I'm walking around Salem all day, I'm starting to, get tired. I'm hungry. Where should we go to eat? Oh, let's hit up this place. It seems kind of cool. You go in there, you have this nice atmosphere. It's creepy, but not scary. And you have all this great food with like, all these awesome names. And even if you're not a huge horror fan, there are certain names you're going to recognize, Quint, Herman Munster, like stuff like that. Those are things that are going to appeal to everybody. And, it's not super heavy. So people aren't going to leave like, oh my God, I can't move because I've eaten 14 pounds of food. Like, they're going to feel refreshed. They're going to feel much better. And then you're like, you know what? Now I can finish, I can continue my day, and, I'm energized. Like, it's such a good idea.
Now, let me interject here, because the important people, in my opinion, because I have two little girls, and they love scary stuff and superheroes, all that crap. And so if we go in there and we see the kids menu, are there going to be cool stuff like zombie burgers or the some monster chicken or something? What are the cool names for those things?
The kids menu, we have the Damien Thorne, we have the Gage Creed, the Danny Torrance, and the Jason Four Cheese. which is all we have chicken fingers, we have burgers, we have a peanut butter Nutella fluff jelly sandwich of any of those combos you can do. And then the Jason 4 cheese is a 4 cheese grilled cheese sandwich. But the good thing is too, is for a lot of kids nowadays are becoming more foodies than when I was a child and would only eat chicken nuggets and things like that. So that we have things on our regular menu that can appeal to kids as well.
Nice. Yeah, my girls would want the Jason 4 cheese for sure.
Definitely.
No doubt about it.
Yeah, it's definitely that's one of my favorite names because it's like that's just so perfect, you know. And I like the fact that you have 4 different menu items and they're all kids. Like,
yeah, and that's the other thing we wanted to do. We wanted to make sure, like, if we're naming kids menu items, let's name them after creepy kids for the most part.
Yeah, and there's definitely enough of those, you know, to go around.
Absolutely, and that's the other thing we're going to do. So we have our menu that's set in stone, and we have a whole separate menu of burgers of the month, sandwiches of the month, all stuff that we have that we're going to put on rotation so that we can continue being creative, because there's nothing worse as a chef than when you're stuck, especially working for someone else and working off their menu and just making the same stuff every day. It drains you. And that's why, you know, this past year with COVID and being in quarantine and getting to really develop the menu gave me like a little spark of life getting to create again, you know, gave me a little like a Frankenstein jolt, because it had been so long since I got to prepare one of my own things. And that's what I'm looking forward to too, is that we're going to encourage our staff, our kitchen and our bartenders. Like, we want you to come up with new concoctions, and, you know, keeping the staff happy is up there on priority with keeping the customers happy. Like, it goes hand in hand.
Yeah, because we mentioned good customer service. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry.
We mentioned. That's all right. We mentioned Halloween. You know, obviously that's a big thing. But and you mentioned specials too. So like for St. Patty's Day, you're gonna have like the corned beef sandwiches. For Easter, you're gonna have the big thick ham sandwiches. You know, turkey burgers for during Thanksgiving and on and on. You gotta do stuff like that. Themes, holiday themes.
Definitely.
Leprechaun beef.
Oh yeah, leprechaun. That's exactly.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
So we're already talking about. We're stoked about the 4th of July because we want to put on a big Jaws party for 4th of July. We already have our Quint sandwich, and we've come up with 3 other things. So we have something for Quint, something for Brody, something for Hooper, and something for Bruce the Shark. All different things that we're gonna do for our big Salem regatta for Amity Island.
Oh, don't forget. Return of the Living Dead also takes place on 4th of July as well. So,
we'll get them all.
You could do a zombie theme one too. So yeah, very good.
Yeah,
very
there are so many different franchises, and there's so many different ways you could there's so many different directions you can take this, and it's awesome. Like, you know, all I keep thinking is, a nice drink called a Lizzie Bourbon. Like that's.
Yeah. And we do have things like that. Like one of our things, like we actually have like a red rum. One of the ones that's actually going to be either for kids or adults is we have a Pennywise float that you can either use with alcoholic root beer or not alcoholic root beer with, a little cherry on top for the balloon and things like that. We want to be able to have kids think, like when you're a kid and you're like, oh, I got a Shirley Temple or I got a Virgin Daiquiri, it was the coolest thing in the world. So we want a lot of our cocktails to be able to do that for kids as well. Not all of them, obviously, but some fun stuff for kids.
My kids will definitely get the Pennywise. That's for sure. They would
it's good. It's great.
Yeah, it's definitely a tightrope to walk. It's like, okay, well, I can name this after something that a kid would know, or I could name it after something like, I don't know how many kids are going to know Gage Creed, but like their parents are going to be like, all right, that makes sense.
Right.
I get that.
Definitely. And I think, the great thing is, especially for horror fans, is their kids are usually just as crazy about horror as they are. I mean, you should see some of the costumes that these kids come up in for like October. And it's not just Halloween, like all October long, you walk around, there's people in costumes, but some of the ones that little kids do are like, I would never think of that in a million years, and they nail it. They absolutely nail it. Like there's a kid who's like Alice Cooper. It was perfect. Absolutely. And I'd be like, how does this 6-year-old know who Alice Cooper is? But nailed the costume.
That's always awesome.
Now, I think I read that with the GoFundMe, that could determine the location. Is that right? And also, what do you plan to do with the GoFundMe? So we get a horror fan or even just a fan of, Salem wants to support you. Where's that money going to go to the restaurant?
That's a great question. So the GoFundMe and the group right now. So we're using anything that's from the GoFundMe is going straight to finding us the perfect location. We've taken some of what we've gotten out of the raffles to make sure our LLC is done, put some money up for our pop-ups that we're going to do this summer. But basically the thing is, we actually looked at a location not that long ago, and it just wasn't for us. And we said, we'll do it as long as it takes to find that right location, because location in this town is everything. And especially with such a big tourist town, that we want it to be in sight for, the walking areas of town. But so the GoFundMe, everything from the GoFundMe goes straight into putting down a payment on a location for us.
Nice. And just a reminder, we do have the link in the show notes down below or above, depending on where you're watching or listening to us. And, our fans love supporting, small businesses and indie creators. So definitely urge you to check it out.
Yeah, I mean, if you're even, considering at any point coming to Salem, like, you want to have a place where because the first time I went, I had no idea where to go. Like, I don't know what's good. I've never been there. I'm in my late 30s and I'd never been to Salem. Lived in Massachusetts my whole life, never been to Salem, and I have no idea what's a good place to go. Like, I see, like, oh, there's like a bar. Like, okay, oh, a pizza place. All right, like, I can go to a bar or a pizza place back home. Like, I'm out in Salem. Exactly. I want ambiance. I want atmosphere. I want to walk in and see, like, this hunched over, like, weird guy carrying a candelabra, like, for no reason, just like walking through the place carrying a candelabra, and be like, did you escape from a Tim Burton movie? Like, why are you here? Like, that's exactly what I'm looking for.
We said, this is really, especially within the past 20 years, it's really become more driven to attract the horror fan with certain things. We have the museum. They've started Salem Horror Fest, which is awesome, and it runs all October long. Those guys do amazing work, and we think that our place is really the missing piece that Salem is missing. We're hoping anyway, and it's just it blows my mind that the one that had opened 20-something years ago didn't stick. So we're hoping that we're going to be, break that trend, and hopefully we'll be around for a very, very long time.
Yeah, like that's what I'm hoping too. So we have the links for not only the GoFundMe, but also the Facebook group as well.
Yep.
Definitely get in there, because Sydney keeps winning everything. So it's
and she took some time off. She came back yesterday and won the first thing she played.
She's always.
I don't know what kind of magic that one's doing, but she's got some good luck, I'll tell you.
Phil, were you going to say something?
Yeah, people. Yeah. I was going to say that. We've been talking about Salem and the Halloween and all that stuff, and the witches and stuff. But for folks who are into nautical history, the Peabody Essex Museum is like one of the best museums in New England, and it has nothing to do with Halloween at all or horror. It's specifically the history of Salem as a port city. Never mind all of New England in a way. And so if you're a fan of history, never mind Halloween, it's a great city to visit just for that fact. I went to Salem dozens of times as a kid with my parents, because my father was always into the nautical stuff, and went to that museum all the time, and it was really good. So folks who can go see that, and then check out the crypt and get some good food. So that's always a good thing, is that Salem. It's a multiple things in Salem, not just the Halloween stuff. But go
definitely,
on.
and I'm a big history buff myself. So it's just, to me, the history of this city and how much people like just put the focus on the witch trials when it's so much more. So if you're coming here and you're looking to learn, you're going to learn a lot. It's the history of this city is absolutely fascinating.
The other thing I like is the fact that Salem, for folks like, for us, who, like, oh, I have to take my Halloween decorations down. It's like, well, if you never take them down, like, oh, I'm putting my Halloween decorations up. It's like, well, if you never take them down, you don't have to put them up. Like, that's how we live in my house. Like, there's Halloween stuff all year round. Like, we always live the horror life. So, in mid-February, when everyone's like, oh, I don't know what I'm going to get for Valentine's Day. I don't know what I'm going to do. For folks who are not Valentine's Day people, like, say, Ashes and myself, we don't celebrate Valentine's Day. It's like, you know what? Screw it. We're going to the crypt. Like, we can still go get a good meal, but, like, we can have the horror ambiance that we want and get away from, the pink hearts and Hey Jeweler commercials that we are not fans of. So, and again, if that's your scene, that's totally cool. It's just not for me.
What a lot of people don't realize,
we love
too,
all
is,
you people who support St. Valentine's Day.
And what a lot of people don't realize is a lot of people move here who are horror fans because we want to be here all year round. Like, that's a huge reason we bought our house here. And a lot of people also don't realize, we're not just tourism attraction in October. Like, October is the big one. But I'm telling you, we went out last weekend and the city was packed. It's starting really to become an all year round thing, which we hope plays to our advantage. We think it will.
So my question for you then is, how difficult is it to navigate through the city? Not just in October, but when lots of people start showing up.
So it's for the most part, it's a pretty small city. It's a walkable city. But I'll tell you, in October, plan ahead in any way that you can. There were times that I was late for work because I had to walk down the street like this to get to work. It gets packed. The good thing is our mayor, our Chamber of Commerce have really put a great focus on helping people be able to navigate through the city and say, hey, this is where you can go for this, and that. And not only that, like, the locals here, because obviously we live here knowing what October is going to be like. A lot of people stay away from downtown. I don't. I like to go right into downtown in October and check out what's going on. And a lot of locals do that too. And in fact, like, people that, like, friends of mine from all over the country who are like, oh, I want to come for October. And I'm like, oh yeah, come, I'll show you around. And you'll find a lot of that here, is that it's a very open and loving community, which is why I love Salem so much. It's a very accepting place. And basically anyone from any sort of walk of life, you walk in here and you feel like you're home. And that's what we wanted to do with the crypt too. So you get that same sort of feeling when you walk through the door, especially, for a horror fan, you walk through the door and you're like, oh my God, I'm home. I'm with my people. And you feel very welcome. And that's what I love most really about Salem, is whoever you are, you walk in and you feel home.
Yeah. And I found that.
Oh, go on. Sorry.
I was going to say, I found that to be true about the horror community in general. Like, people who are on the outside of the horror community who don't, who don't partake of horror, conventions and whatnot, have this misconception that it's like, we're all evil and scary. It's like, yeah, sure. But we're
it's
also
the most
very
caring
accepting.
Community. It really is. And it's such a caring and accepting community that, like, we don't care. And it's a community that's really full of love. And it gets this bad rep because everyone thinks, oh, you guys are all satanic metalheads. No offense to satanic metalheads, of course. But they don't realize how tight knit of a community it is. Like, as well, like, even in our group, we found out that this little kid from Washington, a complete opposite end of the country, 4 years old, he was diagnosed with leukemia, and he was a huge Jason Voorhees fan. So I called upon us all to, donate some Jason Voorhees stuff to this kid. And he got so many boxes of stuff and he was so happy. And it definitely has been helping him go through his treatment. And that's the kind of stuff I love, is that we all really pull together to support one another, no matter who it is.
Yeah.
I was just gonna, sorry. I was just going to mention that there's one issue with Salem that's not good, is it's hotels. They don't have many at all. So if you do go, you may have to get a hotel like 10 to 15 miles away from the city. There's only like 2 or 3 in the city, and they're like very high end. So and during October, forget it. You may have to go 18
Forget
miles
it.
out.
They did just
So
build another one. I'll tell you that. They just built another very large one. But yeah, I wouldn't even try to book a hotel in this city from August to November. Don't even bother.
yeah, it's impossible. And even if you did want a hotel during the off Halloween time, again, they're all high end. The most of the
For the most
hotels,
part, yeah.
So it's a lot of times for many people, it's a day city rather than a weekend or a week trip just for that fact alone. Just a
Definitely.
heads
And
up.
Airbnbs have really started picking up in this city too. So a lot of college kids even are like, hey, you know what? In the summertime while I'm home, let's Airbnb out the apartment to tourists. And they're making good money off of it, which is actually, I think, why Salem built this. I want to say it's a Hilton, like built an accessible hotel so that they could start cashing in on all the Airbnb money that was going out as well.
Right, yeah. Yep.
I think that's all I got.
That's all you got?
Really?
I mean, come on, dude. What's going on here?
Well,
my brain is melting because it's on fire.
Plus, I mean, me and him talk almost every day anyway. A lot of it's repeat stuff we talk about all the time.
Well, just a reminder, we do have the information for your Facebook page and the GoFundMe and the show notes up above or down below, depending on where you're watching or listening to us. I did read, so you have 2 partners with you and you're all veterans?
No, restaurant industry veterans. The way he worded it made us seem like we were veterans. I did bring that up to him. No. Unfortunately, I am not brave enough to be in that, but we are restaurant industry veterans. We've all been doing it for a long time.
Yeah, you said like 18 years almost, right?
18 years, yeah, most of my life at this point.
So what's one thing that a lot of restaurants fail at that you think you're gonna, really be superb in?
Oh man, there's so many things. So one of the big things we wanted to do is a lot of places, it's just spending more than you're getting in. So one of the things I wanted to do with our menu that still worked was make sure that a lot of elements or ingredients can be used in multiple things throughout the menu. Luckily, in this day and age of like social media, publicity is not really the issue, anymore. We're hoping to stay ahead of that as well. And basically, it's like a lot of places, like we had a really nice place in town, high-end place, closed within a year because they didn't know who they were trying to be. Like their menu was all over the place. It was like we had a burger and then you have like a $90 steak and just things that don't work. We specifically kept our menu short and tight. If you have a small menu and everything on there is perfected and comes out just as good every time, I think that's your recipe for success right there.
Awesome. Yeah, I used to watch like these the restaurant, Save These Restaurant shows, and that's the one thing they always said, all these restaurants that are failing, they have these huge menus and all this food going to waste in the back. So that sounds like a smart move. But
yes.
No, it's a brilliant move, Cailee, to actually have specific ingredients that you can have on hand, but they won't be just wasted on one recipe, and to spread it out with that's a brilliant thing. I would have never even thought of that, but well done.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, again, doing this for 18 years, like you said, you've done everything except own your own place, so what it is that you need to do. You've seen places fail, why they fail, so it's like, okay, well, if I can make sure that I avoid those mistakes,
absolutely,
then we'll be golden. Yeah. Like you have the atmosphere and ambiance.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what I always say. We say to my business partners, say, as long as we keep the food as quality as it is on day one, that's success right there.
Yeah. No, I mean, I have so many spices that I have just for a handful of recipes that I use, and so I'll it's tough because it's not like cardamom, for example, or I think that's how you pronounce it. I'm not going to use that in every daily recipe like I would do with paprika or something. So it's like,
right.
it's a smart idea what you're doing, where you're picking and choosing what you're doing. Yeah, so well done. Yeah, I'm still amazed. That's like still making me like, wow, that's a brilliant idea. I never thought of it. It's awesome.
Well, we urge everybody definitely check out the GoFundMe. And one thing that I know we've all seen throughout this pandemic is a lot of people coming together to help each other. And I know we're all eager to get out and try new places and new things. So can't wait to see you open. And I'm sure that will get me to Salem to check it out.
I hope so.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, I know we're coming up on time. Did you guys have anything else before we wrap things up?
I know. I was just going to say, do yourself a favor. If you're not comfortable doing the GoFundMe, go over to the Cails From The Crypt group, because again, if you are a horror or just a memorabilia collector in general, there's so much awesome stuff every single day. I mean, between like we talked about earlier, murder dirt and stuff like that. Because you've done the Tate LaBianca place. You've done the cabin from Evil Dead.
Yep.
H.H. Holmes' house, several other places. But there's also cute things. Like I won the 3. You've done monster cereal Pez dispensers.
Yes, yeah, those are cool. We do all sorts and the figures and stuff too. We want to cater to every person, so everyone who wants to play can find something that they want to go for.
Yeah, and it's usually $3 a spot, and it's like, oh well. Of course, on Facebook you have to use. Oh yeah, there's a burger.
There's the American Werewolf right there. American Werewolf on a bun.
That looks so good.
Yeah. Of course, I'm going to say, of course, on Facebook, you have to go with specific. You use specific terms for certain things, so you don't get flagged or anything. But it's fairly easy.
So if you get confused looking and you say, "What the hell is a razzle?" It's a raffle. Unfortunately, you can't use the word raffle, or they accuse you of gambling and they shut your page down.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I do want to mention for folks who are trying to find Cails From The Crypt on Facebook, it's Cail as in Cails. So Cails From The Crypt, and people, it comes right up. It comes right up once you know the pun of the word right there. So.
Oh, that's the Hellraiser.
That's the Hellraiser.
Phil, or even easier, they just go to the show notes and click Rooney. That easy.
Yeah, but you know what? Not everybody's watching live, right? I mean, they may be listening to this as a podcast, audio podcast, and not video. So you know what I'm saying?
Still show notes. I put them everywhere.
Leo crosses all his H's and dots his lowercase J's. You know that.
That's true. That's true. So maybe it's an OCD. Maybe an OCD for you, Leo. Right there. Cailee. I'll need to send you a Word doc so you can of 12 questions. You can fill it out, and I'll post it up on the darkdiscussions.com website.
Absolutely,
as to help promote you for sure. Yeah, so we'll talk about that when we're off air. So.
Sounds great.
Word doc. What is this? 1990?
Hey, I'm Microsoft, man. I'm not going to use none of that.
I know.
Are you kidding me? You should have seen how long it took me just to get onto this thing. I'm tech illiterate. I shouldn't be, but I really am.
I'm just fussing with you, Phil. I have Outlook as well, but Google Docs is where it's at. It's shareable.
Google Docs is so good. Once I discovered that, it changed my life.
Yeah, and it's just freaky just seeing the other person.
We for anybody who's listening, we love you, Microsoft people. So don't be offended. Right?
No, I'm just saying, Google Docs say, as soon as you finish typing, it's saved. You don't have to click save. It's already saved, and you can access it on any device.
Microsoft Word is like that now too, though. It does it automatically.
Yeah, but I can't get Word on my phone.
You're probably right. I have no idea. I don't do anything on my phone. If I'm going to do word processing, I'm not using a phone, buddy. I'm using a goddamn keyboard with a big screen. You know, come on. Who does it on their phone? I mean, come on.
Podcast notes. If I'm sending podcast notes, like if I'm having a guest on, it's like, hey, this is what we're going to be talking about tonight.
Yeah,
email them a link.
Fair. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. All right, I'll forgive you.
Yeah, I know this is what everybody comes to listen to, but yeah, it's I'm pretty sure the new Outlook 365 or Office 365 has mobile apps. So
yeah, join us next week when we talk more about when we talk Linux.
Actually, I heard of a new one today. What the hell was it? It's made specifically for crypto mining. It's some hack, yeah.
This is
on Reddit. Foreign language to me.
Leo, we just lost half our audience because you're talking about something. You're going, I don't know what it's called.
Dude, crypto's where it's at. Doge all the way.
Oh yeah,
it's 25 cents now, I think, or something.
It was
40 something. Yeah.
Oh, it is now. Yeah.
One of my business partners is very into it. She tries to explain it to me, but it just.
I have 1,175 shares.
There you go.
I bought it when it was like 1/10 of a cent.
Yeah,
I'm like, oh, this is going to be good. And I forgot about it. And Leo messaged me the other. He's like, oh, it's gone to the moon. I'm like, what? I'm like, oh, look at all that money in there. That's awesome. I put $60 in. Now it's like 10 times that. I'm like, oh, nice. This is pretty good.
You're saying it could hit a couple bucks this year, but
I'm going to retire to the Cayman Islands.
There we go. Well, I want to thank everybody for watching this fine evening. Definitely check out all the information in the show notes. Go follow Cailee, and Cailee from the Crypt. Go check it out, and support the GoFundMe. With that being said, Cailee, other than the Facebook, where do you like fans interacting with you?
We also have an Instagram. If you go at the Crypt Salem, all one word. We've actually been talking to people from all around the country who said they can't wait till we open so they can come visit. It's actually been great. So we actually have been talking to all our future clientele. So you can hit me up on there and the Facebook as well. Always feel free to message me if you have any questions or anything. I'm very big on talking to everybody.
Awesome. Fill up.
All right, I'm at darkdiscussions.com, darkdiscussions.com, www.darkdiscussions.com. It's an all-news network that has articles, release notices, 30 or so podcasts. It's updated daily, so if you follow genre news, come and visit us daily.
Cool beans. Passe.
Well, you can follow me at Throwdown Thursday podcast.com. That's where we post our latest episodes. You can also find me in the Loudest Sports Show. You can find me here every Monday. You can also find us on our various Facebook groups. We have the Throwdown Thursday group. We have the Loudest Sports Show group as well. Loudest Sports Show, we've only put out one show the last 3 weeks due to me being sick, but that just means we have tons and tons of stuff to put out now. So be ready for an inundation of sport news coming up soon. You can also find me if you are a sports memorabilia person. I recently joined Major Sports Drops. You can find us over there giving away some awesome stuff like this thing that we just did last night. It is a mini football helmet signed by Magic Johnson, who I know did not play football, but it's a really cool collector's piece, and somebody won that last night.
Very cool. And for me, just Google Leo Pond. You find a bunch of stuff. Could be true, could be not. I'm not going to say which is which, but more importantly, follow these awesome people. And I run a little thing called the Dorkening Podcast Network. Head on over to thedorkening.com for tons of awesome podcasts, over 30 shows as well. And with that, if I can find the right button, we'll catch you guys later. Bye.
Thank you, guys.